The magic of theater.
Yeah, and then the moment you get behind the scenes, you're like, the magic is destroyed. I see through your lies. Oh my lord. Oh
They're
my
all
god.
like, magic, magic.
Folks, we are here today with Play to Own, aka Violet. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great and everything. We're,
Oh,
we're
cool.
gonna we're gonna sit there and we're gonna check your audio levels up here just a little bit.
Okay.
But we're here with the wonderful Violet and everything to get to sit there and know her a little bit more. She has some wonderful stories to share with us that
Mm.
I cannot wait to sit there and get into. And her film choices today, um, I can't put a place on theme. Usually, I always can. So I guess today the theme is going to be fun.
Yeah.
We're gonna throw it back to Sesame Street or Pee Wee Herman. You know, today's secret word is fun. You know, yay! Say the magic word. Yeah. um, Tell us about like how did you get into streaming here on Twitch?
Um. So. Oh. Okay. I had to kind of like reinvent myself a little bit. Try to find a new path. I also didn't have a lot of friends who played video games with me either. I love Genshin. I love RPGs. I like shooting games, and I just didn't have anybody to play with. I had no one who was really interested in that, and so I was like, okay, well, you know what? I'm already playing every day. I might as well try to see if I can stream, see if I can meet people and make friends. And that's kind of how I just got started. Trying to find a new path. I love making clothes and I do leather mask working and stuff like that. So I was trying to find a new venue for inspiration. Because I find like my best inspiration comes from talking to other people. Finding a solution to a problem inspires me to create, and that's kind of where I branched into Twitch.
Mm.
Sharing my love of games and helping people have a good gaming experience, and and to feel like they're not alone. Just because like I also was alone, and I think that's kind of why I got into streaming. Yeah.
I've like noticed that because of all the times that I've sat in on your streams, both day and night. Usually, in some streamers, you always hit that moment of your streaming where you just get so angry and frustrated. I never
Mm.
see that from you. You somehow are able, even the most frustrating at times, find the joy and just being like, it's like, guys, relax. It's not too serious, you know.
Yeah, yeah, you know, there's so many serious things in life and so many horrible things out there that a game, something that goes awry, I don't get the pull that I wanted, I didn't get the shot that I wanted to take.
Yeah.
If that's the worst thing that happens to me today, then I can laugh still, and that's great. And usually if I have friends with me, it's really easy to laugh.
Yes. You know, because like it feels like that. I don't know, I guess like that facade of like you have to be good, you have to be great goes away. And
Yeah.
it's like, no, I'm just gonna have some good fun time with my friends.
So the name Play to Own kind of comes into that a little bit. When I was a kid, there was the rent to own station. I'm
Hmm.
old, by the way. So it's a throwback. It's a throwback to the rent to own. So it's play to own. And I may not be the best. I may not be the greatest, but I'm gonna keep playing until I can own it. And that's kind of where that name came into play. Is I'm just gonna keep chipping away at it, like you did when you were trying to rent stuff, until it's my own. So that's where the name comes into, and that's also why I have the colors I have, the
Hmm.
blue and the purple, like the solo cups when we were kids. So that's kind of the whole vibe.
That's nice though. Like that's a lot more in depth compared to like even for me, like mine was just like a nickname I got around in college and
Oh, that's
everything. Was
awesome
people
though.
was all like, you could write creepy good. And I was all like,
Yeah.
thank you. I was like, okay. It's like, was that a thumbs up from my screenwriting professor? That it's all like, you got somewhere in horror. You know, I don't know where. Because she didn't like horror neither and everything.
Oh,
Like she wasn't like she didn't play down to it, but she just wasn't a fan of
sure.
being scared and everything.
Gotcha.
And so
Yeah.
my very first screenplay writing for that class, it was a teleplay for TV, gave her
Ooh.
nightmares. All was
Oh
she had a nightmare that apparently like the Rams mask in my script had came to life, and I guess it was trying to eat her soul, and it was like, oh shit, and everything.
So you did a really great job. That's awesome.
It seems so and everything, but the more I think about it, it's all like, you know what? That's normal for, I guess, a normie filmmaker or a normie moviegoer who doesn't
Yeah.
digest a lot of horror, of all like, oh, well, you know what? That still gets to them. But to me,
Mhm.
like, I've seen Halloween over 1,000 times.
Oh,
I
wow.
still get frightened of Michael. Like, that's my
Oh,
fear
yeah.
out there. It's the fear of the outsider with no motive,
Mm,
no reasoning for why
gotcha.
they're doing what they're doing. He'll just sit there
That's
and kill.
awesome.
And to me, I find that terrifying, because if you give a reason for anyone in
Mhm.
horror to kill, then you humanize it,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. Which is
So
far scarier.
you know, I think like probably one of the rare chances of it not being is Jigsaw, but in a sense, he's
Mhm.
not killing people. He just sets them up for them to take themselves out
Take
of the
their own
game.
cells out.
Or the
Gotcha. Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
like the thing was just existing. So it was like an animal. It just existed.
Yeah.
And
Its instinct was doing its thing. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, I'm gonna be a dog right here, chill with this nice guy over here, eat his dogs too.
Oh no.
Piss off McCready even more after he lost a game of chess to a fucking machine, you know. But we're gonna pull it back here. The play to own, and how, like, you play until you own it. One of
Yeah.
the big drawing things, I'm still trying to figure out exactly where did I find you. I must have randomly came across you, because I don't
Um.
know if I got rated into your stream before, but like your big thing is I think they're called gotcha games, like the
Yeah.
Wuthering
Mhm.
Waves, Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, and you're always playing Genshin in the morning. It's now my
Mhm.
ritual that at 11 o'clock in the morning, as I'm done having my coffee or possibly having my coffee, I watch Violet play Genshin Impact. And
Mhm.
you own that
Mhm.
game, you help others,
Love
if
it.
they're lost and everything. And I'm all like, oh my god,
Yes.
she's like a Mr. Rogers, but for this game.
With just a tiny, tiny bit of a naughty side. Just you
Oh
know.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, I mean, when you got a mod like Winky Tipsy, it's like,
Yeah, one of my good friends. Yeah, yeah.
I was all
We
like,
have
either you grew up with Teletubbies, or this is supposed to be some overseas double entendre that I don't know of.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've got four really awesome mods. We've got eDrag88, Like a Spirit, Vesper Star, as well as Tay Guevara, Tinky Winky Tipsy, CD Hall, and Tallest Bat 30 are what I call community builders.
Hmm.
They help me connect across different gaming platforms and different Twitch verses, if you will, and we just help build friendships, and that's kind of what those friends, pals,
Have they
besties do for me.
introduced
Mhm.
any of the new games that you kind of stream now and everything? Like Among Us, were they the ones that
Yeah.
kind of, because it seemed for a while I only saw you play Genshin or Honkai.
Mhm.
I don't know if I've seen you play Withering Waves or that one other one that recently came out. The one that's like all cutesy, but like the material is super dark.
I play Zinless Zone Zero. I play Honkai Star Rail, and I play Genshin Impact. I'm really into the Hoyoverse games.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't broached into Withering Waves, mostly because I have sensory issues, particularly with the game. Um, so I don't play Withering Waves. I have a lot of friends who do. They're all part of like the gotcha kind of system. I've played a lot of RPGs in my lifetime. So like Tinky got me into Grim Dawn. Um, who got me into Among Us? I don't
I feel
even
like
know.
that's
That was
I feel
like
like that's a
a
Tinky thing, you
community
know.
a community collab. Because like I have a friend called the real AJ who was really into that too. So I take suggestions. If my community would like to see me play a game, I will try and play that game.
Okay.
I used to play Destiny like all the time, Destiny 2 like all the
Hmm.
time. I think that's where our connection is between Siren and me and you. I think
Maybe that was it.
she raided into me because I was playing Destiny 2 that one day.
Probably.
And that's how I met the lovely, wonderful, funny Siren. And I believe that's kind of how we kind of like bumped into each other.
Okay, I could
So
see that.
Yeah, so back in the day, I used to play Destiny 2 like 4 years ago. I was really heavy into it. And then I kind of, again, it was that whole I didn't have anybody to play with. So I kind of dropped off. And now that I have friends again who wanted to play, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, sure. And they're like, would you play with us? Would you be the third? I was like, yeah,
So
yeah, I'll play Destiny with you.
I need to know who was the one that got you in the Rivals? Because that seems like a game that's totally out of your left field to even.
Okay. My friend CD Hall wanted me to play Overwatch. So for a community day, I was like, okay, we're gonna do a 12-hour stream, and we will play Overwatch for 12 hours. And then around that time, Marvel had come out, and so everybody was kind of like talking about it. It was a free game, and I was like, I mean, why not try it?
Yeah.
And then everybody was like, yeah, okay, come on, play with us. So I was like, you said play with me, so I'm there.
And you're gonna play to own.
Honestly,
you're gonna play to own that game, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah, exactly. Terrified and scared, but we're gonna do it.
What is your current main for Rivals?
For Rivals, okay, I have 3 that I really like. I play Black Widow, I play Scarlet Witch, and I play the Invisible Woman. Those are my 3 favorites.
Nice.
That I like to get
I'm
into.
still a Moon Knight fan, even though I haven't played in like about a month or so. It's like Moon Knight's me. It's like I like to repel up, and I like to just piss people off with my onks. And then the double damage, you know, when you throw your crescent darts at them, and it's like, I need to get back in there and make more people cry. I miss that. That's probably the one game that I can feel like probably now if I hop right back in there, it's all like I've rusted a little bit, but you know what? I can still kick a lot of ass. Compared to Fortnite and all them, I just suck.
Any Thursday night or Saturday, and we're playing Marvel Rivals, and I got a spot open, you are more than welcome to jump in.
Oh hell,
like for real.
The other team is gonna hate us. It's like they got a Scarlet Witch that can play, and they got a Moon Knight that's buggy as hell.
We're gonna make friends. That's what we're gonna do.
Right. We're gonna make friends to the point that, you know, the amount of the accounts are gonna report us for hacking.
I don't know how, but you know, they could try.
Right. One of the big things in your life before you even started streaming was you worked as a theater tech, and you have worked into the film industry. How did you fall into that?
So when you grow up in a very cloistered kind of environment, I was kind of raised in a non-denominational charismatic Christian cult. I wasn't allowed to watch cartoons. I wasn't allowed to watch anything. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch the Smurfs because they cursed. Yeah. So you're just hungry. You're hungry for culture at any break, any bit. So that's kind of what got me into theater. I really love the idea of, okay, it's a play, it's the same words, but every night the actor comes in having experienced 24 hours, and now they're a different person. So now the character that they're coming onto stage with is a new and different character, a more lived character. And so watching a play over and over again, and watching the actor layer upon layer, that new existence, that new thought, that new breath that happened, that new meal that focused their energy, I find that fascinating. So that's kind of why I gravitated towards theater, you know. And yeah, Smurfs cursed because they'd be like, Smurf it. And my mom was like, that's cursing.
Oh my Lord. For one, I gotta say, I've never heard anyone speak of theater like that before. That is absolutely freaking beautiful, and everything. That makes me want to now get more into theater. My only brush with theater was watching some of the Tyler Perry stuff, because I actually prefer those over the actual movies, because the actual movies, it feels like they kind of have to dumb down some of the stuff. And I'm not opposed to all the gossip music that's in there, because like I love the gospel, you know, stuff that they sing in the play. Like there's even times I'm like over here, just my little white boy dancing, just, you know, you know. It's like I like this is good, I can get down with this. And
I mean, gospel is rooted in good Southern music. You know what I mean? It's got good rhythm, good harmonies. You just you feel it. So absolutely, I completely understand.
Funny enough, now that you bring that up and everything, that's probably also why I love Ghost so much. 'Cause
Oh
I know
yeah,
I've dropped quite a bit of their songs in your stream and everything, but they're
love
like
it.
spooky ABBA is what they're referred to some
Cool. Yeah.
circles. I dig it and everything because almost every day when I go on a walk, I have to listen to at least 1 to 5 different Ghost songs and everything
Awesome.
because it gets you through. And I was like, oh, you know, the gospel music,
Mhm.
that's probably what got me in the Ghost. Everything,
Absolutely.
even though their stuff is a little bit more dark, and their stuff's a little bit more labeled to criticize just how civilization's gone, how much
Mm.
they'll hide behind the Bible, but yet like Ghost is like over here, like you say you do this, but you do the other thing. We're gonna sing it in harmony, everyone,
That's awesome. We're
and we're
gonna
gonna have
call you out.
we're gonna look spooky doing it, you
Oh,
know?
that's great. Love it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, uh,
Mhm.
what was your first job? What was your first job? Uh,
Um, right out of college. Okay, my first job was a dresser for the musical A Little Night Music at the Orlando Shakespeare Theater. It was so much fun. I got to work with, historical period piece costumes. My moment in the sunlight as a dresser is a woman would walk off stage in full regalia, and in like 15 seconds, we'd change her whole outfit and she'd walk back out on stage for the next scene. It was fantastic. It was an amazing.
is
It
that
was
one of
really
those
like,
rush
okay,
jobs? Like, oh, you gotta hurry, you gotta get them in
oh
and
yeah,
out,
quick
and
change. Got to get that quick change on. So yeah, I've got a lot of skill as a quick change artist.
it's the
Um,
NASCAR of theater. You know, you
yeah,
gotta get out there. You gotta
exactly.
gotta change your tires, make sure they're not
Make
flat.
a left
um, so
turn.
historical is that like your favorite, I guess, genre to work in with the theater?
Yeah,
Do you like
yeah.
playing around, learning different
Hmm.
cultures and histories of, you know,
Absolutely.
their outfits, and then you get to put that together and
Love it.
you love
So,
it?
my degree is in technical theater, with a specialization in stage management. I went to the University of Central Florida, and at the time they were working towards being able to get conservatory, paperwork drawn up for their theater department. So we were under a lot of pressure to really put in the hours and get the grades and stuff like that. So it was a great place to get a lot of opportunity. Um, so for me, again, I love culture. It was that complete denial of it in my youth,
Mm-hmm.
and listening to my grandmother. She lived around the world. She lived in Africa. She lived in Germany. So I got all of these stories that I desperately wanted to experience some of it myself. And I have a long family tradition of performers and musicians and singers and dancers. So again, it was always just at the fingertips trying to get to it. And because of that love of the history, of knowledge, of understanding, of wisdom is why I kind of gravitate towards more period pieces, in that kind of sense. I
And mom and dad couldn't hold you back from it. It's like,
oh,
nope, grandma fucking sold the seeds. I'm doing it, you know. Blame
mom
grandma.
and mom and stepdad kicked me out of the house at 20, after trying to homeschool me and prevent me from knowledge of the world. They tried to even cloister me some more, and I I guess I couldn't be contained,
Nope, nope.
um,
When your curiosity is so grand and, you
mhm,
know, your
mhm.
heart is so fulfilled that you want that, you'll break away regardless.
I find the thing that kind of that set me apart in that part of the world,
Hmm.
um, was because I wouldn't say I, I'm not shaming or putting people away from me. You know what I mean? I accept people, and because I accepted people in love, that kind of made me a target in the church, if you will, like truly accepting people in love.
Hmm.
Um, and because I was so open for that, I wouldn't draw lines.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play to those sort of favors, and that kind
I
of got
I
me.
I felt that growing up. So like I wouldn't sit to say I was brought up religious. My mom probably kind of wished that maybe she did, maybe I wouldn't have been such a wild pain in the ass kid.
Or you would have been worse. You would have been worse.
I could have been, but the fear of God sometimes works its way into other children. But like in my kind of like later youth going into like my teens, I kind of attended a little bit of a Southern Baptist and everything because
Mm-hmm.
in the South, it's you haven't experienced the South until you go to a Baptist church and realize, no offense to the priest, because the priest is actually a very wonderful man and everything, but God, I would fall asleep in those fucking sermons. It's like, God, tell me a story of Jesus fighting vampires. I probably would have stayed up.
I'm really into that one.
Because you can't just keep telling the story about how Jesus sat there and exorcised demons from a man and put them in the, what was it, pigs or sheeps, and then he made them all run off a cliff or something like that. Like you can tell that story only maybe a handful of times, and I'm like, all right, what else did Jesus fight? Did he fight werewolves? Did he fight vampires? That's more where my mind was
at one point. Zombie Jesus, he is risen from the dead.
That's just as much as the stories I love Kevin Smith, where he's all like, what was it? I died a lamb, but came back a lion, and he has the animated Jesus with freaking muscles like Commando Schwarzenegger, freaking rocket launcher on one hand, assault rifle on the other, and it's all like, oh my God, it's like, where's this Jesus movie at? I
don't know.
Jesus versus Saddam,
Oh my.
But like, yeah, like I grew up with that and everything, and outside of some of the good people there, I came across like a lot of the people that they always sit there and say like, oh, like we're good Christian people, but it was always backhanded.
Yeah,
it's more the no, you do it, I can do whatever the hell I want, but you can't judge me because and
yeah.
I saw like a lot of I'll just say bullshit. I saw like a lot of the bullshit and everything, even as a child. And I guess that kind of transfers over to a lot of just me becoming a writer and storyteller. I've always been an observer. I've never lost that trait. A few times I've gone a little blind to it, but I've never lost that trait of kind of like a child of, always look at your surroundings. Cause to me, all I sat there and saw were just a bunch of hypocritical assholes.
Yeah.
And it's like I love my state dearly. I love the great state of Texas, but sometimes the people in there, that's what makes it. That's what like a lot of people are like, oh God, you live in Texas. It's like, look, the state's not the issue, it's the fucking people. It's the people, it's the government. Other than that, it's all like, it's beautiful land. It's beautiful land.
It's confusing to be told that we're about freedom, and then all of a sudden there's all of these laws and rules, and they just keep writing more laws and rules that are directed over the personhood. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And with that, I can get all into George Carlinism. I can get all into Carlinism and everything. God, I love that dude. If there was ever a comedian I could sit there and take by his freaking word, it's Carlin and everything. And I've seen
sad not having him with us right now.
Right? Because I guarantee you the
stuff he would say.
The shit going on here, that man's got at least 10 more specials.
It would be a gold mine. It would just be a gold mine. We're just, oh God.
I know we're dipping into politics now here, but the Trump administration, both the current and the past one, God, that's at least 2 to 3 stand-up specials he could fucking dish out. And everything.
I mean, it's been hard having people write, satire, because we're like, is this a joke?
That's why I had to stop for like a while watching South Park, because at this point I'm all like, this isn't funny anymore. It just feels like you're covering the news and everything. And I know they got a bunch of people like they've gone woke. It's like, no, they're not. They just stopped the satire and they just kind of started documenting. It's like kind of what's going on. It gets to the point where the reality has become more the joke than the jokes of those guys, the creators of South Park, and you're just like you're like, man, what the fuck happened? Like, oh my God, it's and you're like, we're in the second administration, did we get a break? It's like, yeah, that was Joe Biden. I was like, oh, I forgot he was even in office. Like, it's all like a
couple years of breathing room, and then we're back to the what the head spinning.
That, and I
think
that
what he just said?
I think the pandemic also too. That kind of that fucked us. even though that brought like a lot of people, I can at least sit there say the past couple of years, it brought a lot of people together and also kind of separated some
Mhm.
people because some people learn they
Yeah.
can't live with their loved ones long enough in a house constantly. But you know,
I've learned that there's some other family members that I had to part ways with as well.
mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying
But
to
it's that weirdness of time of just how quick time had sped up after that. Because at that time it
yeah.
felt like the gap of time, like days became weeks
We were in
almost.
Jello. We were in Jello. It was so
Yeah.
strange. I felt like I hadn't talked. I hadn't like, because I moved out to Texas just prior to that. I had gotten injured, and then all of a sudden, as I was trying to get back on the wheel again, everything was completely shut down.
Ah.
It was wild.
Well,
I really
welcome to
felt like
Texas.
I hadn't. I felt like I hadn't talked to anybody. Like had conversations. I still feel like my index of vocabulary is behind, is slow. Like my brain's like crap. There's a word. It sounds like crap. This is close to it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I didn't talk for years. It felt. So I mean that's another great thing about being on Twitch is I had to talk.
Yeah. It's
Get myself back out there.
a very
Mm,
I don't want to say oral. It's a very vocal,
vocal.
visual,
Hmm.
very vocal, visual. You know, you can't just sit there and play the damn game. So half the damn time I do that because I'm all like, look, it's telling a story. Shut the fuck up. Like, just enjoy the story. Well, I don't know where the story began. There's a fucking VOD. Go back there and watch it. And then
Yeah.
it's like, go back there. You know, it's like, other than that, like, you're ruining the story for everyone else. It's like, no one else
Mhm.
is here. It's like, yeah, fucking me, bitch. Shut up. It's like,
I'm here for the story. Thank
I'm
you.
here. Yeah. It's like I didn't sit there and go through work today, banging my head across the damn
Yeah.
desk over why am I not making script pages or why am I not working on another YouTube video?
So I
And
couldn't
then
enjoy the
so that
TV.
so I can enjoy the new TV in a sense.
Yeah, the new story. Well, that's the
Yeah.
great part about games is they're like full on stories that you can interact with. I mean, that's why I really love Genshin. Is it is an interactive story. And you know what's really great about Genshin is it has so many theater references.
Hmm.
Like they have so many different cultural theatrical references in Genshin. I love it. It's fantastic.
Can you
It's
share
the
one of
story
those
amongst
with
the
us?
story amongst the story. Okay, so okay, spoilers.
Oh, so this must be something recent then.
Spoilers.
Like, okay.
So it's part of the thing. If you go in, okay, well, first off, the new event. I'll talk the new event. That way we can avoid spoilers. There was a new event. It was in Fontaine, and it was a film festival.
Oh.
And there was a stage, and the one of the Farina, who was an archon there, at one point in Fontaine, she's hosting it. And so she is theatrical. She performs, and there's even like a story. Her story quest is about her getting back into actual performance because she oversaw the court. She oversaw it all the time, and the Opera Epiclese is where they hold their court cases as well.
Hmm.
So there are multiple theaters within Genshin, multiple references to theaters, to film festivals, to dance. It's fantastic, yeah, and it is very like they break the fourth wall a little bit too. You kind of like feel that it's wonderful. Every time they do, I'm like, my first love.
um so one of the things that I definitely want to sit there and talk about because you dropped this on me, I think in a TikTok, or we were talking on TikTok and you just like casually just dropped, yeah, I worked with the daughter of Jim Henson. I was like,
Yeah.
excuse you, what? And you kind of dropped a little bit of lore on me, so I would love to know the story of how did you get to work in your career with Heather Henson.
Okay, so the way theater works is you have on and off seasons. A lot of
Mhm.
times in summertime they're going to have their season for theater is going to be in summertime up north. Down south your season is in the wintertime, so that you could because birds travel kind of
Mhm.
situation. And so when I'm off season from theater, I would pick up a lot of tech work. So I do a lot of lighting and sounding, and that goes back to my stage management degree. At UCF, as a stage manager, you had to take classes in lighting and sound and costuming because you were going to have to interact with the designers of each one of those branches and then be able to communicate with the director about that. So that's where my knowledge came into. And I was like, well, you know what I do in theater? Pay me, and I can do it. And that's how I stayed in a job and stayed from having to migrate for theater, because in the wintertime I would do historical costuming. I was a Victorian tailor, and then in the summertime I would switch over to lighting and sound and things like that. So my summer gig was working for the International Orlando Fringe Festival. And they host hundreds of artists to come on in. It's a lottery system. So Heather Henson put in a lottery to be able to do a show at the Fringe. And that's how I got to meet her. So the Fringe Festival, it's going on right now. This is the final weekend is happening actually today. They'll have one more day tomorrow. Basically, they take over the park there. It has a museum. There's the Orlando International. There's the Orlando Shakespeare Theater. There is the Family Theater. They just changed their name, so I'm not quite sure. It used to be called the Rep. The Science Center is there, and so we would take over any available theater space in those theaters and in the museum, and we would create a theatrical space. And then each one of these little venues would then have anywhere from 10 to maybe I would say about 10, maybe 12 different shows in each space, in each venue. And in that venue, then what happens is you have 20 minutes to set up. You have 10 minutes to seat your audience. You have your show time, which is about an hour, hour and a half. Then they have 10 minutes to get everything off stage, out of the back, and gone. And then we bump into load in, load your house, show, kick them out. Load in, load your house, show, kick them out. And you would bump all day long in and out of these different shows. So Heather Henson decided she wanted to do the Labyrinth as a shadow cast at the Fringe Festival.
Okay.
So she put into the lottery, she got drawn for it, and for the Orange venue, which is a thrust stage. So it's, you got a U of seating around you. And of course she had she was doing labyrinth puppets and see you can meet up with people out on the lawn. So she had a place where you could go decorate with the kids labyrinth headbands. I have one that had eyes all over it and stuff like that. And so you'd come in and you could be like a puppet or one of the characters from The Wall or the all-seeing eye guy, and interact and sing along and chant with them while they performed in front of Labyrinth. Hysterical. It was so much unbelievable fun. The actor that they had performing as David Bowie, hysterical. It was, yeah. He full on tried to embody David Bowie, and it was.
He didn't go out there with the bulge in his pants, did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh, he did. Oh, and was he able to do without having to have a magician or whatever it was? Oh my God. I know this hand gesture is very questioning, but it was how the juggler did the little balls that Jareth always had.
Yeah,
there's no way you can describe this without it sounding perverted. I'm sorry, folks.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Because I always thought that David learned how to do that, and then I saw the behind the scenes where there is the juggler having to put his arm there, and then how David's having to put there, and then how they having to make it look, and I'm just like, oh my Lord. I was like, that's talented. So was that actor able, or did they just cut him fondling balls in front?
He did. He had the orb and everything. Yeah, it was epic. Great. So it was a lot of fun. So that was the first time I got to be there. So she had my teacher was kind of like her technical director, and from college. So I was like, oh hey, how you doing?
Oh.
So she came in there, and I helped program the lights for them and get that set up for them, and then I got to run the lights for the show. and watching them experience it, because it's so interactive the way they do the shadow cast. You know what I mean? They're dancing, and being it's a thrust stage, the audience, the first row seats right there, like it's, I mean, you're looking up
It's
at
magic.
the actor standing in front of you, and it really is such a lovely feeling. You could feel him singing at you, kind of situation. So watching, and you'd have kids and you'd have adults, and everybody's just, the energy in the room was glorious. So that was my first time getting to experience Heather Henson as you know, running lights and doing front of house with them.
Were you
Really
able
lovely.
to were you able to work with her again, or was this
Yeah,
your only brush?
I got 2 more times to work with her. The second time she brought, she wanted to do a puppet festival, so she rented out this. It's a smaller space at the Orlando Shakespeare Theater, and oh my god, I'm trying to. Her motivation is go, go, go. And I was like, I'm sorry, but you can't pay me enough for me to forego sleep. There's only one of me. I'm asleep. I am so sorry.
So it definitely seems like she has a lot of her father in her, because it always seems like Jim was always that he was always creating something. I saw the documentary, that they have for like Disney Plus, and it always felt like, he was always on the go, maybe not always performing, but like in his mind, it was the process of, all right, what are we going to do next? What's the next creation? Seems like she inherited that from her father.
Oh, just total, like, there's just a mind for ideas, and that ability to be like, hey, let's try it. You know what I mean? Just let's go for it. And she's smart. She surrounds herself with people who can go, okay, that's your idea. Let's figure out how to do it. It's great. I think that was my
helps you the
second
most.
time. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you hire people. You hire them because they help you do stuff. Like, you trust them, and
the director can't do it all themselves. Like, they have to put the trust in the cinematographer and the sound guy. The sound guy knows what he's talking about,
Yeah.
So
I would say the worst flubs that have ever happened in theaters because you didn't listen to the professional you hired to tell you about it. You know what I mean? And I'd say that was probably my second time was working with her on that one. And then the third time she came back for the Fringe Festival. Oh, I can't exactly remember the name. It's Crane. It was something Crane. And the whole entire thing was about cranes flying in the air and puppets that were created to be a variety of cranes. And it was set to music and movement, and it was a combination of actors performing and choreography and lights. And they had these giant poles. Yeah, and now our theater's really, really tall. Like, it's super, super tall. So the first thing the technical director came in and was like, okay, I see you looking at me, lighting girl, I see you. I'm gonna make sure we don't hit your lights. Okay, we're gonna make sure we don't hit your lights. I was like, okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because these things, I mean, we're talking like 30 feet in the air above the crowd. And they were long, super poles, aluminum poles. They would whip around like this and literally have these crane puppets floating and flying in the air to music and to lights and to dance. And it was an ethereal moment for everybody in the performance. It was an absolute joy to experience and be a part of too.
Makes me think of Fantasia.
Very much so. Yeah. You got carried away with the whole entire thing. It was beautiful.
Have you ever had a moment during your job as a theater technician that like the magic was so beautiful that you're like, ah, crap, I'm supposed to be doing, like you yourself got lost into the beauty of theater that you're like,
okay. So there was this so strange. There was this comedic duo. One was a dancer, one was the comedian, and they would take turns rotating back and forth in kind of like a variety show kind of act. the comedian kind of wrapped up this one piece because, you know, you have to have highs and lows. You can't always have it be on one note. You know, like we were talking about the show where they keep hitting you with the thing and then you become numb. So you always want to have this up and this down, this feeling that's happening. So
The
you
pacing.
don't that emotion response with your crowd. So the actor, the performer, told this very moving piece about going to Alaska and experiencing the Northern Lights. And it was probably one of the most in tune moments every time he would tell this story that I have ever felt as a lighting technician with a performer on stage. My ability in lighting is to improv it. I'm very good. Once I know my light plot and I have my board set up the way I want, I can just flow. You can tell me a story and I will build lights as we go. I can pull in spots. Like it's what I love doing. So I did that with this actor every night because he wanted his backdrop to kind of become like the Northern Lights. So the whole entire time I'm rocking the screm, which is behind, kind of like behind me here where I have white, where I could change the lights up on that so that you would see the sky or whatever else. You know what I mean? So in theater, you have red, green, blue. And if you push up your green and your red light a little bit, you'll start mixing into yellow. And then you can push into your blue and your red, and you can pull up purples. And so knowing that mixture that you can get back and forth with these different lights. And as he would talk about the blues, and I'd pull up the blues, and he'd talk about the greens, and I'd pull up the green. And so I would just flow with his story the whole entire time. And I'm so into him talking. And he's so into that feel that the audience, I actually had a director come up to me and be like, I don't know what happened, but it was the most intense feeling I had ever felt. Watching him and seeing the lights react to him and be a part of him as he was speaking. And that was probably the most compelling and most intimate moment I had ever felt in theater. Being 60 feet away from a performer and breathing with him as he stepped through his piece. And I think that is the most magical I've had out there on stage as a technician. Yeah. Wow. It was really cool.
Wow. Like, even just how you tell, I'm all like, oh shit. Like, you gotta figure out who the hell that was. If you're able to, like, later, like, figure out that performance, I would love to have be like, hey, can we get this guy on the show? And can you tell me about the blues and the purples and the reds? I just want to sit there, see if I can forget how to be a podcaster for 1 second and just get lost in his story, you know, like.
That was so cool. Oh my God, it was so cool. Yeah, it was such a moving, oh, wow. Yeah. And it was just him on a very large, very, very large stage. Like the orange venue.
With the canvas behind him and all of that.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking like it's a full screm. It's a full, you know what I mean? Like, and making it somehow bring it into him while he's got a wall of light dancing behind him and a whole entire just empty stage in front of him and an audience and bucket seats. And yet somehow you felt like you were right there.
Yeah.
It was just cool.
You love when a performance can do that to you, to the point that, in a sense, like, the blinders are up because you're so drawn in and you're just like, it's very intimate. And you just like, oh, here, like, keep going, keep saying more. I want to know more. Like,
exactly. It was so wild because, and again, you know how we were talking that it's that's different experience each time, every night. There was a new layer that he had brought to that piece. And the last time I got to see it, you know, it was like that last piece of candy in the jar that you're just like, oh.
But you're trying to also remember, like, what was that candy again? Can I go get some more of that? And you're like,
and it's gone. You know, like,
it's gone.
It's oh yeah, and that's the beauty of live theater. That's what's so magical about it. is that moment, that tastiness, that crispness, and then it's gone.
Oh my lord.
Mm.
So there was one thing that we want to talk about before we get to the films, because we're looking at the time here, and I'm all like, I'm pretty sure they're wondering when the hell they're supposed to talk about films.
I'm a gabber.
Like weren't they supposed to? But like, folks, we are gonna wrap up this first half of the interview and everything. So I cannot remember the year in which that this happened, but the Pulse bar shooting that happened down in Florida. You were able to be part of a community outreach to help the grieving survivors of those that we have lost at that shooting, and you wish to share that story. So what was it that you were helping with the community?
So when that happened, all of us were affected. The family down there, it's very connected. When you're in theater, when you're a performer, even the clubs. Pulse was known as a gay bar, and I had a lot of friends. I knew people who worked at the bar, who performed at the bar. I knew the woman who owned the bar. Like she was part of Fringe all the time. We saw her there. Again, when I would come home at night after bringing a meal to my partner who was in the hospital, I would see that light on. And I would feel, wow, there's normalcy here. People are dancing, people are joyful, people are happy. And that was the best part, seeing Pulse. So when that happened, we were shocked because the night before we had a shooting in a theater. We had lost a performer, a fan, just, it was horrifying. So we had already gotten an alert of, hey, were you safe? That shit that Facebook was doing.
Yeah.
So when we woke up again and we were getting more alerts, we were like, what is going on? Until we realized it's Pulse. So the immediate, we're just texting friends, family, who was there, who was going on, what's happening, who needs what. So at the time I was working at the theater as, not a direct, because it was summer. So I was off my main contract and I was a 1099 employee helping with the summer camps. Because I get really involved with the art camps with the kids and stuff. So I was fielding, there's buses going here, there's free food here, there's water here, and trying to help coordinate people to get rides to stuff. Because at the time, the Westboro Baptist Church had come in and had started harassing the family members who were in mourning. My background and the love and care that I have for my community, it just your hackles get up so bad, because it's antithetical to love and compassion and empathy that we are supposed to have for people. So I just wanted something to be a part of, something I could help, anything I could do. My costume shop manager came to me and she's like, okay, the theater wants to do something, but we have to do it indirectly. I can't be involved. Would you be interested in being involved? I was like, oh yes, yeah. What can we do? What are we doing? Because again, the lawyers were saying, you guys have to keep your eyes and nose clean. You can't let Westboro Baptist Church know what's going on. You can't, we can't have this in the media. So awesome, yeah, secret, lip sealed. What am I doing? And we wanted to make angel wings to help the mourners be able to mourn in peace and not see Westboro Baptist Church signs of hate and malice towards these people that they loved. I was like, yeah, sign me up. My former teacher at UCF, a costumer, Christina, she created an easier pattern, because the original came from Matthew Shepard and his mom trying to stand up for what was right for him, and you can see that in the play Angels in America and also the movie. So we took that idea, again, because it's related to us, it connects to us, to our theater, to our people, to these people that we love and worked with and went to school with or danced alongside. And And we're like, yeah, okay, this is great. This is going to be the symbol of love, angels with their wings, and we can shield them. So she came up with an easier do pattern. Instead of just grabbing sheets, we used muslin and cut it out, and had forms and shapes. Our scene shop, the guys who were off there, were like, great, we'll get working on the pipe rigs. And I was like, okay, great, cool. And I have free reign of the costume shop. Awesome. I'm on the phone. Hey, wait, what are you doing? Can you sew? Hey, what are you doing? Can you sew? Hey, can you iron? You can't sew, but you can iron, right? Great, get in here. Hey, I need somebody to go get stuff, because somebody's like, I can't sew, but I'd love to help. Girl, get in here. I need people to go to Joann's. I need every bolt of muslin you can find in this town, and I need it here today, like right now. So me and like 5 other people got together, and we made the first, originally there were 10 made for the counter protest. And one was made for a little boy who wanted to wear it at his uncle's funeral. So the first that were made were 11. And I had so many people, so many friends who signed up to wear the wings, because again, I couldn't be out on the front lines. I had somebody in the hospital, I had the kids at the theater to work for, so I could be there at night sewing, and I can sew like the wind. I can sew fast. So that's what we were doing. We were just whipping out these wings as fast as possible to provide some layer of comfort for these people who just wanted to think love and kindness on the people that they had lost. And that to me kind of like swings back into everything in my life, is that no matter where you are, you can do something small. Activism, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be your hand on the person in front of you going, I support you. So that's kind of where my heart comes into play when it comes to humanity and in Twitch, is so that I can do what I can where I'm standing at right now. It doesn't have to be a big gesture to move forward. In a time like now, when things seem so overwhelming and surmounting, just put your hand on the person in front of you and do what you can where you're at. And yeah, that's probably the biggest part of my career. The biggest moment for me would have been that, and that has now gone on to be a huge thing. We handed the wings off to a group of people called Angel Action Wings, and whenever there's a need, these beautiful humans volunteer to jump in the Florida sun and become angels to defend and protect and stand in front for others who need it. So yeah, do what you can where you're at. Put your hand out and just support the people around you. Yeah.
That was beautiful, Violet.
So, and that's why I always say much love at the end of everything, is because, I can't do much, but I can tell you, hey,
Yeah.
you did a good job. You got through today. You breathed. Wonderful. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just need that to take another step.
You had mentioned earlier youth that you were definitely sheltered from your mother and your stepdad. Did you not know your real father, or
I had met him once when I was very young. He, in all his wisdom, thought that, signing me over to my mom and stepdad, who eventually adopted me, he, single dad, single guy, doesn't know what to do with a daughter.
He just thought he was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So when does, I'm guessing the evangelicalness comes from stepdad and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So where did you fall in line? How was that growing up, in that environment. Because again, you know, what you just did at Pulse is a total complete 180 compared to what these people would do, where, you
Yeah.
know, it's more the like, if it ain't paying, I ain't buying, you know.
So when I
Whereas
was little, my mom was a single mom up until I was about 5.5 when she met and married my stepdad. So she was involved in her own life. She was a ballroom dancer. Um, she worked as an office clerk in the morning and then danced all night long. I really didn't see much of her. So was my grandma. You know?
okay.
And my grandmom's version of Christianity was like, if you see somebody, you better fucking pull over and help them. You know, like, so, I mean, like I said, my grandma lived all over the world. There are so many experiences where she saw somebody, mom with kids broken down. Well, pulling over and helping them. Somebody was hungry. Well, I'm gonna go make some potato soup and I'll bring it over in a second, you know? So that level of activism and love, like it was that moment of like, it doesn't matter, you can't pray for someone to help them, you know what I mean?
You have to do action behind
You
it.
have to fucking do it, you know what I mean? Like, if you saw it, God meant for you to see it, the universe meant for you to see it, and you to be the one. So that's you know, that was layered in. I had already had years and years of reading about love and compassion in the Bible. Years and years of hearing that the wealthy go to hell. You know what I mean? Years and years. If you have a spare shirt and that person doesn't have one, you clothe them. If that person didn't have any food and you had extra, you feed them. So even though at the age of 6.5, they tried to re-engineer me, it failed. And I'm so glad. So glad that it failed.
I'm happy to have loving and giving Violet over like stingy, like, no, this is my grilled cheese, back the fuck away, Violet, you know?
Exactly.
Unless you haven't eaten in a while, then it's all like, have the grilled cheese. It's like, you don't need to share. It's like, I'll take the stale chips that are in the back. It's like,
yeah, don't worry, I got snackies. We're good.
always come with snackies.
Exactly.
So
I'm the mom dad friend.
Growing up with that, now having to try to be re-engineered, you know, like you told that, no, that's not the proper way of thinking, you must think like this now. Like, how was that, and when did you finally break away?
So there was those years when so I was an ordained minister when I was like 16.
Is that normal for evangelical, I guess, churches to have ordained ministers at 16?
For the prized few that come up that are being raised by the deacons of the church, yeah, there's usually a couple here and there. We had a seminary school. We had a main pastor and then 2 assistant pastors. The main pastor, you know, he wanted to have the je ne sais quoi, you know what I mean? He wanted to have
he wanted to be like Joel Osteen, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
He wanted to have the amphitheater kind of church and the mansion to go home in, you know.
This is the beginning of mega churches, I would say. So if yeah, so I took how to study the scriptures. I learned how to create and write sermons based on the research that I had done myself. So again, you gave me the book. You gave me the tools. I studied it. You can't lie to me and tell me it's not about empathy. You know what I mean? You can't lie to me and tell me it's the prosperity gospel. That's not in the Bible, not the one that I read. And so that kind of got me in a little bit of trouble because I had kind of taken over the youth group. I was teaching other kids how to study and create scriptures, and I was not like, I wasn't saying only you and you. I was like, anybody want to learn how to read this? Anybody want to learn how to do this?
So you were the rebel within the system that it was like, fuck the system, I'm gonna do what the fuck I want, you know. This is what this says.
that's the thing, is I didn't know I was doing it. I was just following the guide in front of me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it leads to the conclusion of love and compassion, which was like, no, 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 you know what I mean? And it was starting to get to the point of we were raising funds and money to have a youth group area that was all our own, and to have equipment, because I sang in the band with everybody, and we needed new mic cables and new mics and maybe some other things. And they started realizing I could bring in a lot of money, but I'm going to start wondering where that money's going.
Yeah.
So the head pastor is like, I think Jeannie has, that's my real name, you're going to figure it out anyway. I think she has a contra spirit.
A contra
What?
spirit.
Yeah, I have a contra spirit that was going against him, you know? So all of a sudden I was asked to step down from the youth group ministry because the old youth pastor wanted to be a youth pastor again. I was like, oh, cool, you know, sweet, innocent kid. Yeah, sure. I was getting more involved in college and stuff because my parents couldn't homeschool me anymore. They couldn't figure out how to actually teach me at home. Because I kept coming to them with, okay, geometry questions and science questions, and they were just not educated enough themselves to answer them. So I started doing dual enrollment and things like that.
I think once you reach a certain age, even you don't even understand geometry anymore. It's all like, this worked for me back then. Why doesn't it math now? And it's like, I don't know, Dad. They just don't do it like that no more. It's like, it's still the same. I got the same answer. Like, yeah, like
exactly. Geometry has a lot of answers. So that is why, like, I was like, okay, I'll step down. And about I was 18 when the two side pastors were like, hey, why don't we have all the stuff we were expecting to build? We've been taking a lot of money in. There should be money here. And the pastor got all guffy, and they were like, okay, we're going to look at the books. And that's when we realized the pastor had been embezzling from the church. So
definitely not shocked. Shocked. Well, probably back then you guys were, but you know,
it was a huge thing.
Yeah, you know, because that was the early days of mega churches that you were mentioning. But yeah, I'm pretty sure nowadays, if people are like, oh, the priest has been embezzling, it's like, tell us something we don't fucking know. Like, where is the money actually going though? Is it his actual bank account, or is it a Swiss?
Yeah,
like,
well, because we had planned that we would build another another big, like, actual sanctuary, and the sanctuary that they had taken on, because we had built one small one that was currently like being taken over by the kids. We were supposed to get this other one, and they were going to build a new one, and then they were also going to build like a help center in the acreage that they had. And none of it had moved forward. But the pastor was like, hey, you know, I'm going to use my money to build a house for me on the land, and then when I retire, you can pay me and the kids back. That would be like my retirement fund, except he used the church money to build the house. And he was planning on double dipping and having them pay him back.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the other two pastors were going to fight for the church to try to, like, get things done, and then they realized how much muck would be back on them. And so then they, like, dropped it and were like, okay, you know what? We're all cutting loose and running away from this thing.
That doesn't make sense, though, because if you're fighting to get a church back from a greedy man, but you don't want the muck on you, it's all like, at that point, do you really then care about, you know, the teachings and everything, or do you just care more about your own social image?
Right.
Because I don't know, like, I think a priest that kicks ass, that's like, yeah, I fought against the authority that was taking money away, I think that would add more stock to me as a credibility as a member of society, you know, and community.
It was wild. It was wild because the messed up part, say, my parents, instead of sticking with the head pastor, who they had been with for, like, you know, I mean, years, almost 2 decades, about 15 years. They even walked away from him while others had stayed. And the reason why is because my parents had been around long enough to remember when the church split the first time. Because it happened like the first couple of years that my mom had joined in with my dad. 'Cause my dad had been there a little bit sooner. His son was caught embezzling. So he kicked him out of the church so that we'd get that embezzler out of her. Now looking back on it, it was this moment of like, this is a family business, is what you guys are doing. It's the family business.
So even mom and dad were smart enough that's like, we're pulling out. We've seen this crap before. We know where it's gonna go. It's gonna be the snake constantly chasing its tail and eating it.
And it was going back and forth. They were slinging mud at each other. It was a wild time. So
you can at least give churches some freaking favors when it comes to the drama behind the scenes. Like, yeah, you know, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to write my next movie script over. It's like, dude, just go to a church, like Sunday, Sunday lunch. You don't even have to go to the freaking, like, to the service. Just go to the lunch. You'll hear some stories and everything, and you'll write something.
The pastor's grandson had been told to stay away from a girl who was much, much younger than him because he was over 18 and she was like 14. And they would stay, we're going to stay away from each other, but they didn't. And the moment she turned 18, he married her. So, you know, those moments where like they look back and they're like, red flags. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
Insert Michael Scott just grimacing meme, like, ugh. Oh my Lord.
Oh yeah. And I've heard that he became a person who laid hands on someone instead of in the biblical sense of laying on hands as we were. So, you know, it was such stereotypical crap.
Yeah.
That you see in those kinds of things.
And it's usually stuff you read about. You don't all the time see it, but when you get to now see it, you're just like, oh my Lord.
And it was right there. And coming out of all of that at the age of, because at 20 was when I was kicked out of my parents' house. Looking back on all of that, because this is where this question of like, how did you peel away from all of it? Is you kind of like stop and like I'd slowly but surely started breaking away from all of it. And then when it finally came down, when the hammer kicked out, my parents kicked me out, I was like, wow, what a relief. Oh my God. And then to like, I'd have to go through and be like, okay, that was a lie. That was a lie. That's a lie. And you had to decompress and find, just picking through your life. What were you lied about?
Yeah.
What did they say that was wrong? I mean, the subtle racism. You know what I mean? The subtle misogyny. The subtle hate against people who didn't deserve it. The bigotry. You know what I mean? The homophobia. Oh my God. I tried to have dinner with them afterwards a few times, and you just try not to kick somebody in the shin. I swear.
Oh yeah.
Because, you know, they're cheesy. My father would just try to get you to be mad, because then he would feel like he'd won. So I would just I'm so good at having that placid face where I just don't move it.
See, I can't, because most people will always then know when like I've finally heard enough. And you're like, he's about to say something that's gonna fucking piss someone right off real quick, and like, that's just me.
Oh yeah.
But then again,
anyone else, I'm gonna mouth off to. If you have been in my chat and you've seen somebody, I pop off.
Yeah, but
when
like,
it comes to my father, I've been around that block enough times to know that he just wants an argument.
It's funny enough too, because even my mom has always wondered, because you know I've rebelled. We've all rebelled against our parents, one form of another, and she's always like I wonder where the hell you get that fucking look, like when you're, you know, that look and everything. And of course, she still sends me posts on Instagram. It's all like, you know, the middle child is always the more closest to the mother, who adopts more of the mother's mannerisms. I'm all like, woman, you just fucking fighting with yourself at this point.
Yeah, right.
I'm my mother made right over, and I mean, she named me after her father too. You know, so I got daddy's first name, I got mama's middle name. I sadly got my father's last name, but we're working on getting rid of that. But either way, it's all like I have her entire side of the family's freaking attitude.
Awesome.
And
That's
everything.
awesome.
And so when it comes to arguing,
come by it honest.
yeah, when it comes to some of the arguing, it's like you're just fighting with yourself. Just give up.
Well, and also that southern. Oh, God bless your little heart.
The most courtesy way
funny.
of God, you're fucking stupid.
Sometimes that's all you can do. Sometimes that's all you can do. My dad's the kind of person that puts heinous things on bumper stickers on magnets so he can take them off of his car when he goes into certain neighborhoods he doesn't think are gonna like it. He's a coward. It's a fucking coward. But yeah.
The first thing I thought of is I can fix that by getting some Gorilla Glue and just slap it right on there. Yeah, and
yeah.
he's all like, I don't know why this won't come off. It's all like, oh, maybe the sun melted it on there. And it's like,
maybe. What did they say? If you make that face long enough, it's gonna stick.
I'm still working on this. I'm still working on all that. It's like, I'll look pretty one day, but oh my God, folks, we're gonna get to the movies. We're gonna get to the movies real quick. For one, I gotta sit there and say this has been an amazing adventure so freaking far. Getting to sit there and know a little bit more of you and everything, folks. If you're not following Violet, definitely sit there, follow her. I know it's a bit early for the plugs and the socials, but go follow her at twitch.tv/play2own. That's underscores in between play to and own and everything. But one of your first films that you picked here. I need to finish it and everything because I just now discovered it must have recently been thrown on Tubi, which folks, if you're doing a movie podcast, this is a shameless plug.
Tubi.
Tubi is the best place to go. Even if you're not doing podcasts, but you're looking for something to watch, go to Tubi. Yes. You got Dark Shadows. Yeah. You got some.
Oh my God! Yes, Dark Shadows.
You got some original Tubi stuff that is both TV shows and movies. There's so much content there. You don't really, because let me tell you, Netflix ain't going to be worth none of the money until the next Stranger Things season, the final one comes out. Let me be honest with you folks. Yeah. I love Netflix. I have, in a sense, always had connection to a Netflix account, whether it was my own, my mother's, or my sister's. I've always had that. Same thing for HBO Max, because I love my Turner Classic Movies. You fuckers know. You listeners know. I should probably say that more, not you fuckers. But let's be honest here. The Southern twang's coming out, you fuckers. But, HBO Max, I can get all my classics. I can get some of my DC stuff. I enjoy some DC. I'm not just Marvel, but I love my Disney Plus, that connected with Hulu. I'm currently binging through Cheers because rest in peace, Norm.
When
I saw that, I immediately went to binging Cheers and everything because I love that show. You have so many wonderful shows, but sadly they are only on there for a limited time. Tubi, it's kind of the same thing, but there are some properties also that Tubi has that are just locked in, like Dark Shadows and everything. You could, if you're a horror fan lover, you could find some of the most great stuff, niched horror stuff. You can watch that there. The same thing for your action films. You love, your Hong Kong action films. You love your black leads and action films, dramas, and everything. It's all there on Tubi, and it's for free. You just got to sit through some ads.
Commercials. Yep.
Yeah, that's it. Which
I think there's another resource called Crackle that's pretty decent too, but Tubi's definitely the better of the two.
I think Crackle used to be really, really good, but it got way too damn crazy with its ads. Because I think at one point it used to kind of have it where I think you got a minute worth of ads, and then it jumped for some reason to 5 minutes of ads in between the breaks. And you kind of look at it because Tubi borrows a little bit of this model too with its ad break. It'll do an ad break either maybe in the middle of Act 1 of your story or towards the end of it, and then they'll throw maybe 1 or 2 more. But then for some reason, the closer you get towards the end of the movie, they're like ad break, and it's like, dude, it was only 5 minutes. What the fuck, But Tubi's not that bad and everything. But again, shameless. Somewhat semi-plug and everything.
Go to
Tubi. Tubi is wonderful. Tubi is amazing.
Tubi should sponsor Gothic. Hey.
You know what? I need to reach out there, and I actually need to sit there and start doing that. I need the sponsorship Tubi and everything. Though, of course, they'll be like, you got to refer them as your listeners, not you fuckers. That just doesn't mesh well. We love the honesty here, James, but at the same time, as a company, we cannot be having you fuckers as a tagline.
I don't know. They have some really great properties, our films that we're watching, so they might like it.
Right? I think, you know what? every one of these films is on Tubi right now, currently, and
Mhm.
everything.
I
So,
think so too.
at the time that this releases, this will be released on my birthday and everything, so we don't know if they'll be on there. But the first one, America Ultra,
Oh yeah,
this
it's a good
stoner
film.
spy romance action comedy. This film has
Great.
so
Oh my
many
god.
layers. Jesse Eisenberg reconnects with Kirsten Stewart, because the first time that they
Yeah.
did work was 2009's Adventureland, which
Mhm.
Violet needs to sit there and go watch that one.
I need to watch.
That's a
I need to
funny
watch
one.
it.
A lot
Yep.
of those like comedian troops of like the mid to late 2000s themselves, like they were all in
Oh
this
yeah.
and everything. Ryan Reynolds is in Adventureland. This
Oh
one though,
cool.
this one feels like they kind of bring back some of those old guys, but they also bring in kind of like that modern day comedy troops of
Mhm.
you know, the people. It's like you'll find them in a comedy and everything. It's really really fun. It's engaging. It's a Jesse Eisenberg film that I can actually watch, and it's like, God, he's not being annoying. It's all like I really enjoy him in this. Like he's really
Oh, it's
awesome.
great.
Why did you pick
Mhm.
this? What about this film speaks to you as
Okay,
the
so
artist?
there's so much. There's so many layers to this film that I really like. Um, when I watch a film, I want to see how all the elements come together. Not just the actors, not just the script, but the scenic, the costumes, the lighting, the sound. And I really feel that whoever was at the round table that day with the director, I mean, they came together for
Mm-hmm.
this film. The way the music's coming in from time to time. Oh my God. The second time that uh, our our lead, you know, comes into Mike comes into a fight, right? This is after he's kind of been awoken.
Yeah,
Um,
activated.
he, yeah, he's been activated. He, he's trying to escape the police station, right? And he and his girl they're trying to run away. And this radio gets hit. And it's this 50s song. And it's just so beautiful over top of everything that's happening. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, of all the carnage.
Yeah, there's this wildness happening in this song. Too long.
Oh my God,
It's just
the
playing
mic
out
took her
over
out.
it.
Oh my God.
It's so surreal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because he's so innocent in his approach, because he doesn't, you know what I mean? Like he's just coming into all the knowledge, like all of the
Yeah.
things that he has trained and learned is just, it's instinct now. It's just popping into his head. And he's still this loving and caring boyfriend who's just trying to figure out how to ask the girl he loves how to marry him.
Yeah. You know, it's not like it's not like an immediate like he turns on and he's like Universal Soldier, and it's
Right.
like this coldness. But even then, he does question, "Am I a robot?" and everything. And then what's even more funny is Kirsten Stewart's like, "You're not a robot," but the way she sat there and says it, she's like, "We fucked plenty of times. I would have known if you're a robot or not." Like,
right.
like it was just that chemistry as like a couple of I would have known.
Oh yeah.
I would have known.
How far have you gotten into it? How much do you know?
I hit the 47 mark where essentially John Leguizamo, they do the whole raid on the compound, and Kirsten Stewart is trying to wake
Okay.
him up, and she's like, wake up, and everything, because
So you know that she is his handler, yeah?
oh, is she?
Wake up. Yeah.
Is she?
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay, because like I definitely know, like, you know, I'm like, well, like, you know what, like, if this
Why
thing
does
was
she know
supposed to
all
be,
this crap? Why does she know all this crap? And but okay, so here you watch the whole film, right? And
Mhm.
you know you don't know it, and you get to the end, you're like, okay, and you rewatch it, and then you listen to her responses. She never lies to him. She just
and she's always more she's a very understanding partner, as like, you know, it's more of the like, because he has the panic attack that's off screen at the airport, that it's more of the like, it's okay, I know what it is, but
exactly.
it's not until maybe then it's revealed then, but she's a very calm, understanding character.
Loving, caring character.
Yeah.
And that's what you come to find out, because he's mad now. He is pissed off because how do you know? How do you know? How do you know what is killing me? How did you know what is happening? How did we get out of there? How did you have this action?
Yeah.
And he demands it from her.
I definitely I gotta see Jesse Eisenberg demand
like,
something from a woman. I'm sorry.
And she's just like, Mike, I love you. I fucking love you, Mike. And she's like, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Don't cry. Don't try to like cry to get my emotions. You know what I mean? And she's like, okay. She tries to like calm down and tell him, but they end up, you know, like he tries to run away from her.
Yeah.
Because he's so distraught and upset. He doesn't believe this anymore. Because now what the hell? Am I a robot? I'm not a robot. I remember what's happening. I remember what happened the last 90 minutes. I can't even believe how do I know it was 90 minutes ago? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
For him, what I love about it is it's because of bringing it back. It's that love and acceptance and the free will of choice that he is given that has made him be able to function and work. Mm-hmm. This experiment was ended. One of my favorite lines is when Lassiter, the woman, freaking badass. What an amazing character, what an amazing role. Goes and confronts the guy who is now trying to attack Mike, who's Yates. And she's confronting him, and she's like, where are you going after my baby? He's like, well, your baby was stillborn. And then she stops and goes, so you're going after my stillborn baby?
Yeah.
I screamed the first time. It's so visceral for a woman, for this older woman, and this powerful moment to have been literally usurped power by this man.
Yeah.
And she's just going back after him with rage. And, you know, the reason why we ended the program is because it was making people crazy. It was hurting these people.
Yeah.
And he's an American citizen, and we should have compassion and love.
And Topher Grace's character is like, he's a government asset. He's government property.
Yeah.
And it's all it's all like, see, you're a citizen until you're government property, which really makes you even question, are you even really a citizen? That's just a nice little sticker, which underneath is just government property.
Right. You know? And it's the people that he then grabs and takes that he has reintroduced into the program. He was like, well, if I use people who are already at the insane asylum, well, I've circumvented it, right?
That makes sense now for Walter Goggins' character, because they call him like Laugher and everything, and like even just seeing the silhouette of him at first, I was like, what in the fucking Joker is this shit? Like, it seems like that now. And
that's that duality between Mike and Laffer, and you see them confront each other, and you see them look into each other's eyes like a mirror and go, we're the same, and yet why am I different? And that was what it was. It was that choice that Mike was given in the beginning to choose to go into the program. The fact that Mike had support from Kristen Stewart's character, loving him, caring for him, supporting him, being there for him, his ability to have his own self, his own personhood, and express himself through his Space Ape comic.
Yes.
His drawings and the stories that he was creating. So that freedom is what gave him his sanity. It's what gave him the power. It's what gave him that choice, is what gave him his ability to work.
Yeah.
To be effective. And that's just such a cool part of that movie. And you see it between him and Laffer on every time they get confront each other.
Because I was always wondering with the Space Ape thing, because a lot of the action that's in it, I'm like over here, because now that you mentioned that Kirsten Stewart is the handler, is she smiling because he's slowly remembering past, you know, maybe whatever he was testing? Because again, like it wasn't like he was like a full program, so he was like an agent out in the field. It's not to that relationship of like Agent 47 and then the handler. I think her name was Amanda. I'm sorry, video game enthusiasts out there. I forget what Agent 47's handler's name is. But like, you know, it almost like that. She's almost like, oh, he kind of remembers a little bit of what happens, but he has put it in this artistic expression of like, you know, which is always like, you know, well, like there's like another thing about this whole story which really captures me. It's her backup for him of backing him up is like, you know, you should really write these stories that you tell me. I love these stories so much. And even though, yes, it all may seem to be a lie, there is a hint of truthfulness in that statement of you tell really, really good stories. Why are you not publishing, like writing and publishing?
Why aren't you doing it?
Sharing it with the world. Instead, you're just sharing it with me. They're amazing. They should be heard.
Well,
and I think that's
also,
something.
The whole entire time is she's trying to break him from his programming.
Yeah.
By going, let's go to Hawaii. Let's try to leave the town. Let's try to grow yourself, because you've said you want to do this. So I'm trying to enable you and help your path to do this. So that conversation that they have about the tree and the car, and her tears going, no, Mike, you're not the tree. You are not the tree. I am the tree. I am the one who has stopped you. Once you've watched the whole film, you come back to that moment, you're like, oh my God. Because the guilt that she has of having to keep something from him.
Yes.
Like you can see that start to like coming through in all of these moments.
I can see why Stephen King sat there and enjoyed this film so much. He's all like, you know, there needs to be more American Ultra, you know, like I'm paraphrasing it, but he sat there and says, you know, like America Ultra is great. It's fun. People need to go sit there, see it. It's sad that it did not get, you know, it's not getting the traction that it should, just because it's a Jesse Eisenberg film and Kirsten Stewart's in it, that most people who already know them, they blew it off because it's like, well, we saw Adventureland. What else are you gonna do here? You know, like to us, that was our kind of like, because I think that film came out 3 years after Juno, and Juno kind of kicked off that whole coming of age, teenage, like raunchy comedy where it wasn't too bad, but it, you know, it was to the point that it's like, you know what, if Elliot can make these jokes at this age with J.K. Simmons playing such a fucking straight face to it, you know, it's like, then we can do this. And I kind of feel like those films have kind of fizzled out a little bit. You get a couple of them.
Sure.
I kind of feel like maybe America Ultra is more of a nod towards those films, as like, you remember Adventureland? Well, guys, come on back because we're all much older and we have much more trauma to unfold.
Definitely more trauma. So, oh God, there's so much. I haven't seen the end of it because I it's hard to talk about it, because I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time,
we've already kind of spoiled, you know, it's a spoiler podcast and everything. We're not afraid with that, but
so for me, like, another moment is that innocence, that sweetness that Mike has when he's talking to John Leguizamo's character, which is his drug, his weed dealer, his pot dealer. Oh my God, he's so funny. John is so funny in this film. It's hysterical. But the fight between him, and he steals the gun from him, and then he hands it back. It's like, here you go. 'Cause you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And John Leguizamo, you know, locks them down in the basement. And Mike walks up to there. He's like, hey, you know, I can probably break this lock. He's like, please don't. He's like, okay.
He's so kind about it, especially after, because I think his name was Rosie and everything.
Yeah.
And how like he was already bitching already because he feels so left out of everything, because he's all like the monkey virus that got out, and they're like, there is no monkey virus, that's just what the government's lying to lock down and everything. And
football.
Fantasy football. That's yeah, you know, he feels like, wow, I'm your weed dealer and you come over here and I'm just now learning that you could do this shit, that apparently our government's lying to us, which I'm all like, really? Was that like a far-fetched idea? And now like two of your bros here.
Nuh-uh, Mike, nuh-uh. You think I'm gonna call the government?
You know, that's the one thing. I feel like that's like John's biggest strength, is he can play the man being left out of everything so well. And he can make that moment shine for him so much to the point that the character is like, all right, I've had my moment. Let me back up. Let me back it up and everything. And because he does it in Tu Wong Fu and everything,
Oh
where,
yeah. Oh
you
my
know,
god.
in Tu Wong Fu, he kind of was always like, he's like, where's the spotlight on me? And to the point that it does get on him, he gets beaten up and everything. And then, you know,
Yeah.
his buddies come there to support him. And it's
Sweet.
like this is my family, you know, and
Mm.
it kind of brings him in of like, I feel like I'm not being heard of. He plays those characters so well.
Oh, so good.
And
And
then
it
there's the
really, it's
Violator.
such a small part, but you just love
Yes.
him so much in this tiny little bit. Yeah, he
Like-
makes this tiny character huge.
Like I always feel like John Leguizamo will always be the most unsung best supporting actor. And anytime that they try to give
Yes.
him to a big role, I think it all just goes on to what character it is. Not
Mm,
saying that he can't sit there, he can't lead a film. That's not what I'm saying. But like,
right.
if there's a role written specific that he can capitalize, no matter how big or small, he can do it. He's shown he can do it
Yeah,
for supporting,
absolutely.
but it never
Absolutely.
seems like with the big one. I think the closest one for the big one he did was Violent Night, where
Oh, I haven't
he's fighting
seen
David
that.
Harbour's Santa Claus and everything. Even though a lot of the shine is on David Harbour playing Santa, who's
Mhm.
like, you know, what's going on here? I'm just trying to deliver presents. Why is this family being held hostage? And it turns into Die Hard. But Leguizamo has like all the best catchphrases in the whole freaking film. Like he's playing
Oh,
to
and
his
he can
strengths of his
deliver.
comedy. Yeah.
And
You
he can
know,
deliver. I mean, he can deliver a line. Yeah, absolutely.
he
Oh,
delivered one
it's
hell of a
such a good
death.
moment.
If you haven't seen Violent Night
Oh,
and everything, he delivers probably one of the best death scenes in that whole fucking film. And even though it's
a great
comedic, John is just that great of a talent, you know. You
Mhm.
gotta give him his,
There was and American Ultra has so many famous faces in this film. Like, I cannot believe that people haven't really seen it. You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah.
just So I would say my favorite, like, if I was gonna pick something, one of my dream cosplays would be her look in the blackout, the black lights in that room.
Yes.
If I could figure out how to make myself look like I was standing in blacklight in her outfit, I would wear that at con. I think that would be amazing.
I definitely give the pros to the makeup artists and everything, because you know, like no one looks good with the black light on. It, like, you know, people be like, is that blood on you, or is like it's blood? You know,
Well,
the answer is always blood. You
That's
know,
the moment. That's the moment when he's looking in the mirror. She's asking him, "How
yes.
are you okay? How are you feeling?" And he's like, "You know, I feel great." He's like looking into the mirror, looking at himself, and it's that first moment where he's really, it's all clicked in now.
Yeah.
He's woken up, and he's accepting himself. And I think that is quite an interesting moment for him. And there's some really, I mean, great fight scenes, brilliant fight scenes, thoughtfulness, what's around me, using items like that. So, you know, again, working with the scenic elements around you, working with the people around you. There's a moment in the end, though, between Yates and the girlfriend, Kristen Stewart, where they have a showdown in the back hallway. And oh my god, the way it ends is just perfect. Because he gets into a tussle with her, and while she's taken some hits, she's made him want to walk away from this fight because he's not going to win. He has figured out he's not going to win. So he's like yelling at her and, you know, yeah, just whatever. And like he's trying to walk away, but he's looking at her and not checking out behind him. And in this last moment, Kristen Stewart, as he's like mouthing off to her, she's mouth bleeding on the ground, and she goes, flips him off, right? And all of a sudden, Lassiter, that wonderful older woman, comes in with a power cable.
Ooh.
Oh man. It's a fantastic freaking moment. I feel empowered.
No pun intended.
You know,
no pun intended. You know,
in a lot of these movies, we try to fridge women. We try to take away their power. We try to, the man's the man. But in the end, here, you know,
The women come out on top.
people come out on top that should come out on top, and it's fantastic. I don't want to ruin any more for you, Gothic, 'cause it's great.
There is last thing that I want to sit there and say about it too, from what I've noticed. I think when he also finally really awakes, he has not had another blunt.
Truth. Yeah.
So that can also kind of go through because of just where he goes through, where it feels like the brain fog that he goes through,
Has
where, you
cleared.
know, it's all clear.
He
And quite literally, it's
He
cleared
hasn't
because
felt the need. He hasn't felt the need to participate,
to
drink some
medicate.
alcohol or medicate in any fashion for the first time in a while. He feels calm and at peace without any assistance. Yeah, it's definitely a very cool moment. He almost
even
looks
though
like
he questions himself, like even when he questions himself, you know,
and that's the great
Kirsten's
part. In the
story
middle
is
of questioning, in the middle of being upset, in the middle of chaos, you can find your solitude. You can find yourself. You can find your support, and I think that's that. You know,
life is funny that way when it
so
happens because it's paradoxical.
Much great that film. Yeah, for me, it's one of the best love stories out there.
So we're gonna move on from America Ultra to what I'm actually like. This is one of my favorite action films ever, of like the post 2000s, and it's very rare that I have an action film that I really enjoyed. It's obviously the better and sense of adaptation of this character, but Dredd, Carl Urban, that voice, Mama, you know, well, that was Southern right there, Mama. But
Mama.
you know, Mama Clan, you know, it feels like, I was like, did you like smoke like a pack of Marlboros? And then it's all like, now let's get this voice narration through. I love Carl Urban in this, and I didn't notice until last night's viewing. Something just told me pay attention to the end of it, or it's more towards the end of it, where what was it? It's the Anderson. Yeah, I think that's her name, the psychic, where she lets go the tech dude, and he kind of gives her this look without needing to see his eyes. All you see is just this frown and the helmet. And he's all like, you sure that was the right thing, rookie? It's all like, you know, aiding and abetting an escaped thief and everything. And she's like, he was more of a victim than anything. And it's like, and besides, I've already apparently failed your trial and everything because I lost my primary weapon. So, you know, we're going to get through this. And there's an actual emotion that he changes, that it kind of goes from like this grumpiness to like this,
that's that moment when he's like, and now you passed. And now you passed.
Yes.
Now you passed.
Even though the film is called Dredd. Yeah. The film is called Dredd, but it's Anderson's story. Dredd doesn't change. Dredd is like that Dirty Harry character. It's like, he's not the one that changes. It's everyone else that's around, because for him, he's just a cop. Or in this case, a judge. Right. He's just a cop. He's out there doing what he knows is justice, regardless of how dirty it looks, nasty it looks, how, especially in the Judge Dredd universe, how fascist it is.
It's also a matter of going true justice. True justice here. You are the person who has to decide and cut through all the bullshit, cut through all the lies, and know that where you are at, you have to do the best for the people that you can, where you're at, and how you can. And if the only thing you do that is good is set this guy free because he wasn't involved and he was forced to do it, if that's the only good I'm going to do in this world, then I have fucking done good.
Yeah.
Nothing else fucking matters. So again, it's where you're at, where you are. You can't always do big gestures. You can't always save huge things. You can't always be the person standing in front. But you can be the person behind and go, yep. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be supported. You deserve to be forgiven. You deserve to be released. And that is what made her, in his eyes, now you understand what it's like to be a judge. Now you get it. Now you understand that, yeah, you have to have nuance. You have to have thought.
Now we need a sequel.
Yes. Oh my god. Okay, so for me, Dredd is, like you said, is the perfect action film. There is no excessive love. There's no love story. We're not getting caught up in that.
Yeah.
We have a task, we have a complication, and we have a resolve. And it's clean and it's beautiful. Everything in Dredd, I feel, really comes together. From the coloration of the costumes and the lighting and the hallways that you're moving through. What you're supposed to be paying attention to, your eye is drawn. You'll see the color yellow flicker, and it will notify you that this is a person of interest, or this is a scene, a moment. There's a spot over here. And it also distracts you. Pull your attention here while something happens here, and then you're surprised by it. And so watching them use color and minimalistic hallways and lighting to pull you through a scene in that film, it's beautiful. For me, and like the first time you just watch it, and the second time you're like, wow, all these moments. And then also the camera work with the slow motion photography, brilliantly done.
God, like, for one, I think Mama's death is probably one of the most beautiful in a villain.
Yes.
Very Hans Gruber, because of course also too, I like how she has this whole thing of, if I die, this whole damn place blows up. And Dredd's first thought is, as he's thinking about this, is like, I wonder what the range is on that thing. And I was like, how the fuck did she not think about that? And like, you know, shoots her up with the slow-mo to fool her heart and her whole body.
It was that gamble. And she even says it in the beginning that we always knew it would come down to this. I'm a bad guy. There was the acceptance from the beginning that the possibility always was I could be tossed off the building and shot.
Yeah.
You know? And in that moment, he judges her and he holds the inhaler up to her. And, you know, do you have a response? And her response is,
yep.
Give me my punishment. I will experience this death. Because like they even say it must have seemed like a long way down with the front guys. And her judgment was the judgment she handed out, and she accepted it. Which is a beautiful moment in and of itself. And as she fell, and you see the shards of glass coming down with her, and this ethereal pause. I always love it when they choose some to silence things and dampen things. And that dampening that happens so that you take in that extended moment with her is so powerful, and it's so beautiful. Even her death as she hits the concrete. And that, for me, that's one of the greatest moments in this film. So yeah, like great.
A lot of the slow-mo, so even when you see the other people like do slow-mo, and then the Dredd pops in and shoots the one dude in the freaking face, and then the other side you just watch it like balloon up,
fall through.
Yeah. And I'm all like, oh my god. And I think you even see some teeth fly too, because you know it goes through, it shatters the teeth,
the freight, his body, and then the ripple and the gun bending from the heat. It's such a cool moment.
It is. And one thing I really enjoy about this film, outside of its cinematography, is the handle of Judge Dredd. Yes, I did call him a Harry Callahan from Dirty Harry and everything. Essentially, that's kind of what the character is. I'm out to dispense justice, even though Callahan is a bit of a racist and a sexist. But that's the period in which it is being told into.
Sure.
Of that fits that time. Now in the future, Carl Urban doesn't care what he'll hate you. Nope. If you're breaking the law, he doesn't care. You were going down, and he's going to take you too. And but
as those corrupt cops. Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yeah.
And
good God.
That's where I was gonna get to. It's like he's regardless if he's even fighting normal civilians or the corrupt cops, he's not always like on the offensive. Because like the cops were beating his ass when Mama brought in the fucking Gatling guns. God, that's a beautiful visual. God. You know, because he's like over here, he's like, it's all like shit, and he's like running down the hall and with Anderson.
That moment, he's just like, okay, we went from like we're just doing some gang tussle to you have hurt civilians. You didn't even care. And that's when he looks at the dude like, why Why is she trying to eliminate us because of you?
Yes.
She shouldn't freaking care. What do you know? And then Anderson gets to come in. Terrifying. What a great, powerful moment. Because he even tries to like belittle and dehumanize Anderson. And Anderson's like, what?
Oh yeah, like especially with like all the sexuality, he's like, with my fucked up brain against your fucked up brain and everything. And then like, you know, the moment he thinks he's gonna get a blowjob, and no, it's Mama down there biting off
biting
that dick, and like, and then you even get a spit take from her too. I'm like, you know, and I'm
her
like,
sweet little voice coming in, going, "Oh, did you think that was gonna shock me?"
Yeah. Like, he gets her that one moment, and then that's when she knew, I cannot play lightly with this dude. This guy
punches him, just bam.
Yeah, you know, that's even great too, because like she's like over here, like, you know, oh, you think that's funny? Bam, and I'm over here. It's like, oh, it's like a little bit of dreads rubbing off on her, because at the beginning she probably wouldn't have done that, but then the moment of doing it, so in a sense, both characters do kind of get a bit of a learning curve, because you know, Dredd's just looking at this like, oh god, it's a rookie. I got to teach him, you know, the rules, and of course, letting go of that tech dude, Mama, which really getting rid of him neuters everything of Mama in that entire thing, you know, and she didn't have to beat him, belittle him, or anything. She just read his mind, saw his pain, saw that she was the cause of it. Let him
just
go.
like, I'll give you whatever you want, please. Just no more pain for me.
Even though it was painful, those are some beautiful eyes that, you know, at least Mama gave him some beautiful looking eyes, you know. Just in a very painful origin story kind of way for it. But yeah, like Dredd kind of like learns a little bit of like, okay, I guess having a psychic on the team isn't all that bad and everything.
So
and for her, it's all like, you can't always be diplomatic. You kind of have to sometimes just punch the motherfucker in the head, just like knock
and realize, and you have to realize that sometimes that's the only justice you can serve. Sometimes you can only move a pebble, and that's the justice that you get to do that day, and you can't be broken down by that.
Yeah,
it's a little step here and a little step there, and eventually you'll get where you need to go. I mean, overall, that's just a beautiful film. Like I said, I love films that kind of like encapsulate everything and connect everything together. And so for me, Dredd is definitely one of those. Great story, excellent characterization, wonderful acting, scenically. I mean, and I know it's a beat up, torn down building that's falling apart, and yet it's beautiful
in its own little
dichotomy.
way.
That dichotomy that happens it's beautiful. It feeds my soul. So yeah.
I also got to inform the listeners here too. In a month from now, after this video is out and everything for you guys, I will be covering the very first Judge Dredd adaptation, the Stallone one. I will be covering that with Rovan Air as our guest, and that's one of his films. So you guys got a little sneak peek. We covered Dredd, so next month we obviously got to cover the Stallone one and everything, which I can't wait because I haven't watched that one in years.
Oh, it's been such a long time.
I saw it. I think I saw it online. I don't know, back when I was 15, and I looked at this. I was like, "What the fuck is this? This isn't Judge Dredd. It's just Stallone dressed up in a superhero costume, and it's Demolition Man, but strip away all the satire from Demolition Man. That what made that so great, and that was Judge Dredd. So hopefully,
that's such a good film.
Hopefully, what is it? I'm gonna date myself 16 years later, like the other half of my life. Maybe I will view that film in a different light. Compared to my youth and everything. But we are gonna wrap up, folks, with one of my favorite choices from this, Elvira, Mistress of the Darkness. Now, I definitely know you did not pick this film for its story. So
okay, well,
it's Elvira, folks. Why did you pick Elvira?
So again, that whole like, it's that weirdness growing up, right? With these people. I couldn't watch Smurfs, right? Because they cursed. But I could watch Elvira on TNT.
What? It's the gal with the enormous ratings. You know, you can watch that. but you cannot see Smurf say, well, what the Smurf?
Yeah,
Like,
yes. I couldn't watch, He-Man, but I could watch all the Porky's movies. I don't know. I don't get it either. But yeah, no, Elvira was one of those films that I watched when I was very young. The campiness, I love it. For me, a lot of I love a good campy film. When it comes to monster movies or
mm-hmm,
horror films, the more campy it is, the more I'm gonna love it.
mm-hmm.
So that her personality, I think I pull a lot from that personality. That yuck kind of like vibe that she gets when she's like, "Oh, I'll cut you, man! Stab! See, it's fake! It's fake! It's fine! I'm just joking around. It's cool."
Oh my god. So now that this is mentioned, Halloween, could you plan an Elvira cosplay stream? Do you think you could pull off a Cassandra Peterson?
I don't. I mean,
The jokes, yes, that's what I mean. That's what
jokes,
can you
yes.
embody Elvira on screen for one day?
Probably, yeah. Like her personality, the jokes, yeah, absolutely. That's definitely my wheelhouse, I would say.
Because like,
Well,
God,
sometimes when people get a little too saucy, I'm like, remember, we're more fan dance versus full frontal here. It's kind of our thing.
oh man,
Yeah. So I mean, I've worked tons of burlesque shows as a theater technician and costumer. So yeah, I get the vibe. I love the vibes. It's fantastic. It just the jokes, the humor, her freaking acceptance of herself. You know what I mean? To know thyself, to love thyself, to cherish yourself. You know what I mean? It comes through so amazingly well. And growing up in a household that's always like, don't love yourself. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Don't cherish who you are. Don't be this, be this. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
she's like telling the girl, oh, you want to wear makeup? Cool, man. Wear some makeup,
yeah,
bro. Let's do it. The only time she ever beefs with another chick is because they beef at her.
yeah.
Oh, be careful. Those might poke an eye out.
I'm like over here, it's all like, that's funny coming from Elvira and everything, but yeah.
Exactly.
And then almost anything Chastity says, which I'm sorry, but like a name like that, Chastity, name like that, I was like, that kid was gonna be a fucking problem for the whole world the moment you named her that. But also
yeah.
too, I see her as that sweet car rental woman from Planes, Trades, and Automobile, where Steve
Yeah.
Martin drops like 60 fucking F-bombs in front of her, and she's all like, well, sir, do you have your receipt? No, I lost it. Well, sir, you're fucked. And just seeing that how well he uses it 60 so times, we're laughing
Oh
at
my
it.
God.
She uses it the one time, and that's the
And we're like,
true punchline, gut shot. Like, oh my god, this is freaking
that's the
hilarious.
real curse word. Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah. Great.
and seeing that actress in this film as like this very uptight, like, we don't want you in our town and everything.
Oh my
Why?
God.
Because you're different. And it's like, that's every small southern town,
Pretty much.
you know what? Not southern, it's every small town. Even you can count the
Yeah.
Midwest everywhere.
Yeah.
Any small town, everyone wants someone that looks in some degree like them. They do not like variety because variety attracts
Scary.
eyes,
Scary.
and
Well,
it makes you think about your own self of, well, why can't I be that open with myself? Which, to be honest, maybe you could be, but
Well, so there's a Bible verse that talks about the eyes of the soul. The eyes of the soul, the eyes are the windows to the soul. If you see light in the eyes, then the body is full of light. If you see darkness, then the body is full of darkness. But if the light is actually darkness, how much greater is that darkness? Kind of plays through in here. Because they look at the uncle who is supposed to be light, an
Yes.
epitome of the town. And then you see her in a black dress, her titties out, her hair's big and awesome. She's got great makeup on, you know, she's living life. Her car is just amazing. And she's expressing herself and loudly and being proud of that. And that looks scary. That's the darkness. But you come to find out it's the uncle who's the real bad guy. And how much more scary and bad he is. It's great. You know what I mean? Like, it has a lot of that
especially towards the end, whenever he gets the cookbook and everything, which I always love. It's all fighting over a cookbook, and then the first thing that Cassandra's character is trying to do is like cook a casserole, and it's like this creature that almost went straight for her boobs first, and I'm all like, I know what that puppet engineer was doing, and he was a brave man not to go full. It's like, you know, because like, you know, Cassandra, it's like, you're fired, and like, you know, get off my set, you know. But yeah, that's like the thing too. It's
knowing her, she choreographed it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know.
Now I need you to grab my tit. I don't know. I'm not comfortable with that. No, I need you to grab. I can imagine the
if maybe that dude's wife is on set, also working along with it, and then, you know, though of course the wife may be like over here on the car ride home. She's like, so how was it?
Maybe it was the wife who got to do it. You know?
Yeah, maybe it was that too. You know, it's like, was it worth it? I was like, so much so, like, you know.
So great. Oh my god.
And I like that she definitely parodies that so much, because even the sleazeball TV executive, or I think it's a studio executive. Studio TV, but it's that one that like he was all hands on her, and she was able to knock him off and everything, and be like, no, you are not getting this regardless of anything.
See, that's another great scene too, where because like her and the news broadcaster, again, it shows the unhealthy relationship, and then it shows a healthy relationship when it comes to women. And I feel like a lot of Elvira's stuff is always kind of like, okay, there's unhealthy, but then there's healthy. Let's get to the healthy, because she gets kind of in a tit for tat with the news broadcaster behind there. It makes her look like an idiot.
Yeah.
And then you've got the stylist back there going, hey girl, I love it. So again, you know, it's that girl for girl. Hell yeah. Yeah, support. That's support. Let's not be jealous.
Yes.
Let's not hate on each other. Let's support each other. And that again, that was
that all envelops.
That part of Elvira, those little tidbits are kind of what seeded me as a kid. That gave me love, gave me acceptance. That, you know, made me love being a woman and being happy about, you know, and supporting and what's the word I'm trying to say here? Sex positivity. You know what I mean? Being positive about being who you are. Consent, joy, happiness, all kind of like wraps into this sort of thing. And I think that was a great example to be able to get to see as a kid. Of Elvira,
I think probably some parents probably didn't sit there and buy into it because of the outward look. Because to them it was like, this is what I'm seeing, but this isn't the message I'm getting, because I'm too focused on the visual and everything. It's all like, well, eyes up, chief. Her eyes are up there, like, you know, like
exactly. You know, it's a spoonful of sugar that I think Elvira was for me, and I really appreciated that growing up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You know, do you have any final thoughts before we wrap up today's lengthy show? I don't care. I'm dropping this as its fullness. I mean, this was amazing.
It was so great getting to talk to you, Gothic. You are a delightful human being, and it's so rare to be able to just converse with you, getting to know you as well. Thanks for sharing all of your fun stories and interjections too.
The film nerd that I am, the outsider that I am, you know.
Outsider.
I've always been that. I've always noticed that. Oh.
I have a cat.
Oh, cat's like over here. It's like, it's feeding time, Mom. I don't care. Like everything. Yes. We are gonna go wrap this up though, and everything before the cat further tries to enact the end of the broadcast. Oh, hi. Cute baby. We always love it when we can get a fur baby on screen. Like, I think this is the third or fourth guest that has done that now. Oh my Lord and everything. But folks, thank you guys again so much for listening. Violet, where can the people find you on the socials?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, as well as Twitch and YouTube. It's the same name,
Play to own.
play_to_own. Yeah.
There you go, folks. You can find me, on the socials, Gothic Storyteller. You guys know where to find me. You guys,
Yeah.
I got a whole link tree underneath here, so it's all like I have all my links here. But thank you guys again for listening. And I don't have no powerful message. Be yourself. Be your true self.
Be yourself. Be yourself, and
be excellent,
wherever
dude.
you are, you can do something small. You don't have to worry about doing something big to make a difference. It really could just be simply accepting somebody who they are, and that little example will help a 6-year-old little girl watching you one day grow up and love other people. Be able to see through darkness and really just be a better person. You don't have to do anything big. It's the tiny stuff that matters. Yeah.
That's the better ending and everything. We're taking that and everything. You have a good one, everyone. We'll catch you all. Like, subscribe. You know what the hell to do. Do it.
Follow the Gothic.